Hey guys, good afternoon and welcome to Your Stocks. I'm Pavitra. There's a lot of queries that have come in and we're going to get to all of that in just a bit. But for some important flashes at the bottom of your screen, the CNBC-TV18 news break has been confirmed. M&M has confirmed selling 3.2% stake in Mahindra CIE. The stock has been, pretty much doing well all through the day as well. It was up 5%, so holding at those levels right now. Like we were telling you, M&M has sold its balance 3.2% stake in Mahindra CIE at around 460 rupees, 447 rupees a piece. That is the price that they've confirmed and they've told us about. So a big overhang has been lifted on the stock, and that is why it has been holding with that 5% gain through the morning as well. So we are going to bring you more details on that. In fact, we'll ask some of the guests about it as well. But for now, a quick look at the market as well, which from the day's high, we saw that big recovery at the start of the session. We've led up a lot. So we're currently around 40 points in the red as well. So more than, around 90 points gone from the top of the session. A lot of the pressure coming through on the financials. The Nifty Bank is down 160 points right now. But the one good point is that the broader market is really holding up. So you have the mid-cap index, which is still trading with an over 100-point kind of gain. The advanced decline also positive because of this, because you've seen some outsized moves on the mid-cap index and a lot of earnings reactions as well coming in. So for now, the advanced decline at 1,500 stocks, which are gaining, for around 1,330, which are in the red. So still holding up over there. But let me invite our guests on that note now. We have Rajat Bose joining us, as well as Sharad Avasthi, who's the head of PCG research at SMIFS, to answer all of your stock-related queries. Rajat and Sharad, thank you both very much for joining us. Sharad, if I can just come to you, I don't know whether you track Mahindra CIE, but this deal is done now at 447 a piece. Big overhang lifted. Is this a stock that you like?
I think the way the stock has been growing and the way we expect them to grow even in the future, I think it's a decent bet at these valuations. And with this overhang again not being there anymore, I think there is possibility that the stock, could be trading. We are expecting an earnings of somewhere around 29-30 rupees next year. So FY24 basically. 20 times is something the stock could easily trade at. So I think around 600 would be the fair value that would be possible on the stock.
Okay, got that. In fact, there was also a note by Motilal Oswal where they also have a buy call on this, and they're looking at a target of 550 on Mahindra CIE from the current 473 that we have on the stock. So that's something important on Mahindra CIE. That news break has been confirmed. But let's get to our queries now, because a lot of them have come through. We have Raj writing in, and he holds 100 shares of Tata Steel at 116. He's a medium-term investor, wants to know what he should do with his positions. Should he hold or sell, considering that he can only hold for around a medium term? He's also asking about the outlook overall on metals for the next 12 to 18 months. Sharad, he is sitting on, a bit of a loss right now, but the earnings were quite good, right, for Tata Steel this time around. They've managed to reduce net debt also. Do you think with just a medium-term perspective, this one can generate good returns?
Yeah, I think most of the pain that we had to see because of abnormal prices on the steel and metal side now is behind us. And now from here on, mostly the numbers would remain stable. They have a lot of capex in the long term, but since he's a medium-term investor, I don't think it impacts him so much. So next 1 or 2 years, we are expecting earnings to be somewhere around 14-15 rupees consistently. And I think easily the stock, if trades at around 9 times, he can continue to hold for 135.40. And regarding metals, I think broadly the sentiment is same. Don't expect any abnormal rise. Maybe last 1.5 years, we had some abnormal numbers there. Profitability was there. But now gradually they are settling into a good space. But valuations across the board are not expensive. So whether you consider the aluminium stocks or say something like an Hindustan Copper or Vedanta, where you have corporate governance issues, or Hindalco. But valuations per se are attractive at these valuations. I think most stocks have around 15 to 20% on an average upside over the next 1.5-2 years.
Okay, and anything else that you think might be a better pick than Tata Steel, or you think this is a good way to play the sector?
No, steel is good, but I would prefer, if you are looking at taking a bit of risk and you are looking at someone who is higher up the value chain, a bit of a liquid stock, Hindustan Copper could be a very good long-term bet because most of the value-added products are there. And as a sector, I would prefer to be more on the aluminium side. So Hindalco and Nalco look like much better bets compared to steel stocks.
Okay, got that. Let's also bring Rajat in. Rajat, thanks for joining us today. And, what is your call on Tata Steel? Is this a stock that you think from a medium-term perspective can do well? And then what is the kind of target that you would have on this?
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. What I would like to say about Tata Steel is that Tata Steel at the moment, till such time it takes out 120 kind of levels. 120, if you remember, this was the high, I think a few months back, and this needs to be taken out decisively. Only then you can expect a further upswing from here. Otherwise, it would remain a range-bound counter. And suppose if it were to fall below, say, 100, then there would be some problem. Then it can even go down to 93 to about 90 kind of levels. Very frankly, I would say that this stock doesn't look that great. I mean, I would say that it will require a lot of consolidation and a trading activity between 90 and 120, and after that only you will see Tata Steel getting past 120. Immediately there is not much momentum in this stock. And particularly about metals, I agree with Sharad that non-ferrous metals actually offer a better opportunity than steel. That's the thing.
Okay, got that. The next query coming in is from someone who invested at a very good level. We have Nagendra Prasad, who writes in from Tamil Nadu. He holds 1,287 shares of Bajaj Finserv, which he bought at 1356 about a month ago. The reason I said good level is because in about a month, this stock has moved up 9%. He wants to know the future prospects of his holdings. Rajat, like I said, this month has been good, and he, got in around a month ago as well. But what do you think are the future prospects from a medium-term perspective? How much more of an up move can we see on Bajaj Finserv?
Well, Bajaj Finserv is now trying to actually clear its 200 exponential moving average, which is around the current price level. And this has been, this particular moving average is being tested since early May. I mean, I'm talking about the current month, and if it manages to get past this 200 exponential moving average, which is around say 1435, and sustain above that, then there is a possibility that it can move up to something like 1550 to about 1600. Bajaj Finance looks much better compared to this, but this is also on an uptrend. It's a very steady uptrend. If you are planning to hold it for the medium to long term, then Bajaj Finserv is pretty good. Otherwise, there are better momentum stocks in this category. Its own brethren is showing much better potential.
Okay, got that. So that is on Bajaj Finserv. Let me quickly ask Sharad as well. My team is telling me that the Hindalco numbers have hit the exchanges, so I'm going to try to open that. But Sharad, in the meantime, any call on Bajaj Finserv, and do you consider this a portfolio stock or not?
Not at the current valuations. I'm very bullish on the GI and LI business. But the main valuation on the SOTP side comes from Bajaj Finance, where it is already trading at 7-8 times current and 4-5 times forward price to book. So I don't think there is much scope of re-rating happening there or much growth coming in from there, unless and until some of the verticals they are focusing on develop something. So I think for Bajaj Finserv, if you want, you can hold for targets of around 1500, 1600. But beyond that, I don't think there is much scope into it.
Okay, got that. By the way, for Hindalco right now, all through the day, actually, the stock has been one of the top losers ahead of its results. For now, there's been a little bit of a spike in the stock, so it has come up a little bit. But, this is also a stock that is going into its results very weak. If you look at the year-to-date kind of move on Hindalco, it's seen quite a cut, right? It's around 17% lower for the year. So going into its results week. Anyway, this quarter is not expected to be great for Hindalco. We were expecting a revenue decline of around 3%. Margins are also expected to contract, but that has pretty much been the case with all of the metal names. So we will watch out for that. What is really key to watch is, what they have to say about the near-term outlook, because the street has been a little bit cautious about that. In fact, some of the early numbers are up on your screen. The revenue has come in at 19,995 crores. This is versus the poll that we had of 18,475 crores. So quite a beat over there. No wonder the stock is spiking up. That is just the first number that we have, almost 20,000 crores in terms of the top line. This is versus the estimate that we had of 18,475 crores. So that one is looking quite good. I'd be interested to watch, how the margin also comes through. What we were expecting was an 8.85% kind of margin. So around 9% on margins was the expectation. The stock, by the way, has just moved into the green right now after being the top loser on the Nifty all through the morning as well. The net profit has come in at 832 crores. The poll that we had was 635 crores. So significantly better on both the top line and the bottom line. The stock definitely, moving up on those numbers as well. So we will wait by and see how the rest of it pans out. We're also, I'm interested to see how the volumes look. The expectation for the aluminium biz volumes was that it will grow just 1%. So very tepid over there. So let's see how that comes through as well. For now, there's a beat on the revenue front, on the net profit front. And I think the EBITDA number is also flashing. So I'll try to bring that up for you. But first, Sharad, with your initial thoughts, this definitely looks better than the estimate that we had. Just to repeat it to you, net profit at 832 crores. This is versus the poll of 635 crores. Margin has come in pretty much at what we were expecting, 8.9%. The estimate was of 8.8%. And revenue also, like I was pointing out, quite a beat at around 20,000 crores. Better than expected, right, for Hindalco?
Yeah, largely better than expected on a quarterly number. So I think it's looking better on all fronts as of now. Once we have a detailed look, we will have a better understanding. And I think since you are going into the numbers with such low expectations, the probability of a company disappointing you is very low.
Okay, all right. And your thoughts on the stock overall?
Yeah, I think they will continue to report 45 to 50 rupee kind of EPS for the next 2-3 years. How the recycling thing they are working on at the novelist level works out is something that could be additional trigger. And I think if those numbers come in, it should easily trade at anything between 9 to 11 times. So 500, 550 could be your targets you could be looking at.
Okay, 500, 550 kind of targets. By the way, Nigel is here to, help us really break down the numbers a little bit more. Nigel, I know there were no big expectations anyway from Hindalco. It was supposed to be a weak set. But, on the numbers right now, it definitely looks better than what we were expecting on all counts.
Well, Pavitra, for these numbers, you actually need to look at three big factors. One is the aluminium EBITDA, the copper EBITDA, and the debt number. Because the standalone business doesn't include the Utkal alumina business, so you need to club that. So the way to look at it is, we were expecting the aluminium EBITDA at closer around 2,045 crores odd. It's come in closer around 2,300 crores. So that's a beat. So aluminium business is better than expected. The copper business as well, it's a smaller part of their business, but we were working with a copper EBITDA of close to around 530 crores. It's coming at around 598 crores odd. So on both the big segments of their business, remember for Hindalco, 70% of their business, 70-75% of their EBITDA comes in from the overseas business. That's Analyst as well as Novelis, which is known as Novelis as of now because Analyst has got into that entity. So we're looking at basically 30% of the total EBITDA. And out of that 30%, you have a beat on both the two parameters. That is aluminium as well as on the copper business as well, which is a smaller part of business. The only one more data point that we're waiting for is debt number. I don't think there'll be a big reduction out there because we already saw what happened with regard to Novelis. So we already have priced most of that in. So these numbers look good. The outlook, though, is a little bit skittish even as of now. And remember, from the time Novelis's numbers have come out, the stock has corrected 7 to around 8% already from around 440 rupees, closer to around 400 rupees. So we'll wait by for further commentary. But as of now, both the segments, copper and aluminium, are better than what we were working with. Back to you, Pavitra.
Thanks a lot for helping break down all of those numbers. That is on Hindalco. Like Nigel mentioned, the copper and aluminium EBITDA both better than what was estimated. In fact, all of the numbers that have come in so far pretty much better than expected. The margin absolutely in line at around 8.9%. We will wait by for the debt numbers and I will come to you with that as soon as we do have them. For now, let's get into a short break on the show, but we'll be back with lots more stock queries as well on the other side of this. Hey guys, welcome back to Your Stocks, and we still have with us Rajat, Bose as well as Sharad Avasthi to answer all of your stock related queries and get you a complete technical and fundamental perspective as well. The next query comes in from S. Chandra, who writes in from Kolkata. He says he has 1,000 shares of NHPC, which he bought at 27. So good buy price, and the stock has also moved up a lot since those levels. He also has 300 shares of Gateway Distriparks at 71. He's a long-term investor and he wants to know the target for the short term as well as for the long term for both of these. Rajat, coming to you on this, making money on NHPC, losing some on Gateway, what would you advise? And, like he asked, what are the kind of targets that you can expect from a short and a little bit of a long-term perspective as well?
Short-term NHPC target would be something like 48, and long-term targets, only thing is that NHPC, after a fairly long period of time since the COVID time, it has been on an uptrend, and intermittent corrections are also there. So chances are that if 48 is taken out, then there could be a move towards 60, and that 60 level could be had, say, in about a year to about year and a half kind of. This is a very slow mover, so if you expect that you will see fireworks here, I mean, that's very unlikely. So that's NHPC. And what was the other stock you mentioned? Gateway Distriparks.
Gateway Distriparks, that's right.
GDL. Okay. Gateway Distripark has got, it's in a correction mode actually. It has shown a very sharp rally during COVID period. After that, it came down to something like 230 odd levels and currently ruling at 283. Initial target would be the high around 325, but you need to see a lot of trading activity here as well. That immediate jump on the upside is unlikely, because whenever the stock is moving close to 300 plus levels, there is some selling. So that selling needs to be absorbed fully, only then you can expect further upswing. Because it was a parabolic rise, this stock will actually consolidate for a longer period of time. I mean, I'm not expecting that immediately there would be a major upswing in this. This is consolidating, and the consolidation, once that is over, you will get an indication if when it is crossing 320 on high volume activity, that would be the end of consolidation. That after that you can expect higher levels. If I were in his shoes, I would have booked my profits in Gateway Distripark, and then either it comes down to, say, something like 240, 260 kind of levels, then I repurchase. Otherwise, on a momentum again above 320, it becomes attractive. At current levels, it will languish.
All right, got that. Sharad, do you agree with Rajat on Gateway Distriparks and on NHPC as well? What would your call be on both of these? And do you think it makes sense to hold this, if you could answer from a short-term perspective as well as someone who's willing to stay invested for a little bit longer?
Yeah, I think NHPC is an excellent holding if you're going to hold on for a very long time, because by virtue of idle projects being long gestation, there is a lot of scope of improvement. The company, the capex plans are very aggressive. Roughly an equal amount of cap there. I have to double their capacity over the next 3-4 years from 7,000 megawatt. They would be somewhere around 14,000 megawatt, and another 7,000 megawatt is under various stages of clearance. So in all, I think this is a company which can, over the next 5 to 8 years, maybe triple from current volumes. And that would be a very big change. The government is also considering bagging all the hydropower projects under one entity, and NHPC would likely be that entity. So that could be another trigger for some re-rating happening on the stock. If you have a 5-7 year kind of horizon, I think very optimistically you can expect somewhere around 110, 120 on the stock. But yes, as Rajat mentioned, if you are looking for a 1.5 year kind of horizon, I think anything between 50 to 55 would be the fair value of the stock. I don't see it going beyond that in that period of time. But long term, yes, the plans are very attractive, and they do get derailed because of environmental clearance and all those issues. But in the long term, yes, if everything falls in place, that there are aggressive capex plans. They could be around 120. GDL, I think it's an interesting story. If I'm not wrong, the prices are somewhere around 66, 67 right now. And,
yeah, 66.
Yeah, so I think Rajat got some wrong prices, so I needed to recheck actually 250, 300, I could not find. So I think GDL is a good story to have around 66. The existing capacity that they have, they can easily double their capacity on these units only. The total capex that they've done on these projects is very small. Logistics as a space is doing very well. They have a holding in Snowman Logistics as well. I think refrigeration and all that will go through very good growth rates in the long term in India. Logistics per se will also grow. Containers will also grow. So I think all in all, the business per se in the logistics space should grow very well. So there is a possibility that if this company can turn it around, they could in the long term do 10 to 12 rupee kind of earnings, and easily they could get around 15 to 20 times. So I think anything between 180 to 220, that's the very long-term vision that he's asking for. In the short term, I think they could do around 6-7 rupees kind of earnings. And based on that, 15 kind of multiple or 10-12 kind of multiple. So in the short term, I think 65-70 could be roughly the fair value which the stock is already trading at. But in the long term, I think there is a lot of scope for this stock.
All right, got it. So you're sounding quite positive on both of these from a longer term kind of perspective. But with that, Sharad, Rajat, we're going to thank you and wind down on the show. So thank you for taking out the time, as always, taking us through all of these individual queries that we did get in from our viewers. We are going to wind down on the show. The market is still at 40 points lower right now. The mid-cap index holding up, so not too much of a change since we started. For Hindalco, by the way, you have seen a significant recovery in the stock, but it has fallen a little bit as well after that. The Hindalco stock price will be up for you. Like Nigel was pointing out, the EBIT, the copper as well as aluminium EBIT has come in better than what was expected. The debt has come in at 33,960 crores around from the earlier 41,700 that we had around a year ago. So that is on Hindalco. We're going to wind down, but remember, you can always email us your queries and we're going to take them up with our experts. Stay with us as closing bell comes up after this short break for the final hour of trade.